The Toronto Police Service has been under intense public scrutiny in the way it handles a number of issues: anti-Black, anti-Indigenous racism. The body that oversees the police force is recommending some big changes to fight racism. And Laura McQuillan is here with some of the details of just what we're learning.
I've just been taking a look through this report, Heather. It is for the Toronto Police Services Board, the civilian agency that oversees the police. They're going to be meeting on Friday, and they've got some big recommendations in this report, and we'll take a look at some of those. They include making the board's anti-racism advisory panel and its mental health and addictions advisory panel both permanent, and expanding their mandates. Also directing the police chief to create a new course for police, and this would be mandatory for all members every 2 years, on anti-Black and anti-Indigenous racism and interactions with racialized communities, among other things. It would also consider how community members could play a role in that training, whether they could help develop or lead training for police. Now, all of this comes as police budgets are under scrutiny in the wake of George Floyd's death. Those protests, the protesters, many of them calling for the defunding of the police. Now, that is not something that this report considers, but it does make a recommendation about improved public consultation on the Toronto Police budget, including greater involvement of community-based consultation partners. It also recommends a line-by-line breakdown of police budgets be made publicly available. Now, that goes some way to making the police force budget more transparent, but it certainly doesn't reach that threshold of defunding the police. Someone who has been speaking a lot about that and other policing reforms in Toronto in recent days is Mayor John Tory. He says he supports these recommendations, and he is a member of the board, which will be looking at these on Friday. Take a listen to what he said.
I believe the recommendations going to the board this Friday will result in real, tangible changes that will produce better, more accountable policing. This report will see the Toronto Police Service continue to make changes to focus police officers on major crime, improve how we respond to residents experiencing a mental health crisis, and to require the additional training that will contribute to a rebuilding of trust.
Now, as John Tory said, this is just the first step. He said there are going to be further recommendations going to Toronto City Council at the end of this month. Among the changes that are on the table right now are body cameras for Toronto Police. Those are in the spotlight after the death of Regis Kaczynski-Paquette, who fell from a balcony recently while interacting with police. A lot of scrutiny of that incident. At the same time, on that issue of defunding the police, 2 city councillors are proposing a motion to defund the police by 10% and put that money towards community resources. Instead, they're trying to rally support from fellow councillors to get that done at one of these meetings that John Tory is speaking about. All of this coming as Toronto's Police Chief Mark Saunders is set to step down at the end of July. So it looks like a wave of reform is coming for that time, for that new police chief, Heather.
All right, Laura, thank you very much.